Hi, my name is Amanda Ralph. I'm a nurse practitioner and the owner and founder of White Coat Aesthetics here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, I thought it would be fun to talk about the pros and cons of owning a business. Now, just to get started, I want to kind of introduce again me as a business owner, how long I've had my business, because you are hearing this from someone who has had now White Coat Aesthetics, a medical spa in Las Vegas, Nevada, for 5 years going on our sixth year. So, maybe my discussion a few years ago would be different than what I am telling you right now, but all I have is right now. So this is what my opinion is now as a business owner of over 5 years. So I thought it would be a good idea to start with the cons because the cons are going to be the best ideas for you to consider when opening your own business. And also I want you to let you know that all of my opinions, of course, are based on owning a medical spa, which may be a kind of different business than what you are pursuing, but still some good ideas. Okay, so first con that I have in my mind is how difficult the first 2 to 3 years are of business ownership. And just to keep in mind how much you have to hustle in order to succeed. So much of building a business is just the daily grind, the ins and outs of everything that you're doing. It is so all encompassing, and I honestly did not understand how hard it was going to be when I got started. I knew kind of what I needed to do in ways. I knew some of the things I needed to explore, but it was literally a 3 full year process of just trying to iron out all of the ins and outs of what we were doing. And still to this day, I'm always trying to improve. But I would say the first 2, 3 years were the hardest, especially because you don't have a lot of money to hire a lot of staff to help you with this. And so almost every job is your role in a way. Now, me 5, 6 years out, I have a larger staff. I have women that are help that design, a lot more of the business process for me, and who are helping with things that I now don't have to touch. But in the first 2 to 3 years, everything was riding on me, and everything was riding on me getting it done, and it was very stressful to say the least. So the hustle is a very difficult part. There are things to enjoy in the process, but I would say at times it absolutely felt not rewarding and very overwhelming and very stressful. The second con I want to discuss is finances and money and how difficult it is to make enough money to sustain your life in the very early years. I am very fortunate enough to be married to a pharmacist, so I had someone who was able to make money while I was growing because I will tell you there was a good chunk of time where I was not bringing in anything for us. And for me, that was based on a lot of factors, but also for me, I'm hiring employees and they're always going to be my number one priority. So the money that was coming in was solely going back to my employees and back to inventory, and really very little of that was going to me. So I would say starting a business, you have to understand that you are not going to be making probably what you could working for someone else in the very beginning. But a lot of it is sacrifice in the beginning to eventually make more and to eventually be able to fulfill your dreams. So a very real con that needs to be considered. And I always tell my people who ask me about business ownership, do not plan on making much for yourself the first few years because there's just not a lot of money to go around unless you end up taking out a big loan in order to help you with some of that. You are just not going to be able to afford a lot. So keeping that in mind. The third con that I want to go over is just the constant stress. I would say, I don't know if I would consider it like a major stress anymore, but just the fact that you really never actually get a mental break from your business. So especially the first 2 to 3 years, it is truly a constant stress. Like I remember the first year or so, I would sometimes have a hard time talking to people about my business because I was just so panicked and so afraid of if it would actually become what I was hoping it to be. Now, obviously, things are much better and much more stable, and I don't have, that constant panic level, but there is still just a base level of like a weight on your shoulders a little bit with your business. I always say that this business is a baby. It is my baby. And if you're a mom, your children just never leave you. Whether you're with them or whether you're not with them, it is a constant something that you're thinking about. The business is the exact same way. If I'm out of town, if I'm in town, if I'm on vacation, if I'm here in the business, if I'm having a weekend when we're closed, I am still thinking about the business. It's always on my mind. This isn't always a bad thing, but it's just something to understand that this is something that you are going to be taking on as a part of you. And it is just going to be kind of a constant level of stress. I'm very fortunate now to have such a good team of women that work with me to where they really help offload a lot of that. There are things that I don't even have to worry about anymore, and I am so grateful for my team, truly. But it's just going to be kind of a constant thing. And at the end of the day, when things go really wrong, it is always going to be back on my shoulders. So just something to consider. If you were the kind of person that's like, I like to go home and not think about work and not ever have to stress it and not ever have to think about, some of that, maybe business ownership isn't for you, or at least understand that that's going to be something you can't really get rid of when you own a business. If you are someone that's like, I can handle that because I want to build this to what I want it to be, then absolutely, take that role on. But it is something I don't think people really understand, and something I didn't fully understand either before I started. There's a meme I see online a lot from business owners that it's like, oh, I didn't want to work a 9 to 5, so I became a business owner, so now I work 24 hours a day. And I think that is so true. You think it's going to be this beautiful, like you creating your own schedule and doing all these things you want, but really you end up working a lot more, at least in the beginning years, building your vision. What I would say about that is if you're passionate about it, it is worth it. But just understand that that's what your life is going to look like if you decide to open a business. Now I want to dive into the pros. And I will say, again, this is coming from someone who is 5, 6 years down into business. Obviously, this probably would have been a little bit different and maybe a little bit more negative in year 1 or 2. But where I am now, I feel that there are so many pros and I feel very good about my decision to become a business owner. So let's dive into that. Okay, the first pro that comes to mind when discussing business ownership is being able to really dive and create your vision. So, hopefully, in whatever area of business you are trying to explore, you feel that you have a very clear vision of what it is that you want to create. And I did myself of the Medspa world. So, I really did feel like there wasn't anything that I was finding as far as what I wanted to be working in. And with that, I would say it's a major pro of owning a business is that I get to run things the way I want to run them. I get to decide how this business is being run. I have really been able to create my vision in a space of what I wanted to find in Las Vegas. And I love it. I truly do because I feel like I am able to operate at the highest capacity. I wanted to create a beautiful environment where people could come and not feel sold to and not feel like things were being done shady or unsafe and to come in and really feel like a very concierge type of medicine. And I have been able to create that and I'm so grateful for that. So if you have a very clear vision of what you want and how you're going to make your industry better and how you want your business run, it's the best because I have truly been able to do that through business ownership. And typically when you're working for someone else, you maybe have a little wiggle room, but you really are set under certain boundaries. So that to me is a major pro. The second pro I really want to highlight is still that flexibility and structure of how you want your life to go. So obviously this is slightly different in the first few years when you are just like hustling, hustling, hustling. You don't have a ton of flexibility. For me now at 5, 6 years, I get to decide my schedule. I get to decide when I take time off. I get to decide how I want things to go. And for me as a mom, this is absolutely vital because I want to be able to be there for my kids for certain things. So once you get to a point where you have at least a team that can help support the off hours that you aren't there, it is so nice. I truly do not know how working moms do it when they work for other people who are deciding the schedule for them because it is being a mom is so all encompassing. It's really nice to be able to have that flexibility. My final pro that I would say is being able to and having the ability to build the team you work with. And I will say it's very funny that I'm even mentioning this because I have always said to me the worst part of business ownership is hiring. It's a very stressful process going through applications and bringing people in and meeting them. But now that I am at year 5, 6, I will say there's nothing more rewarding than working with such a good group of people. For me at my practice, it's all women. But getting to hand select and kind of feeling out and making sure that you have the right team in place to fulfill your vision, it is so fulfilling. I work with such amazing women and I literally love work because of them. And there's just something so rewarding about that. And it's not something that I expected to enjoy so much when I first started my business. Of course, when you start a business, logically, eventually when we grow, I will be hiring more people and we will just be having different roles and I will be able to delegate. But for me, it's like, I didn't expect for these people to become so important in my life and to have such a good, beautiful working team of women. It's hard to put it's hard to quantify that. It is pure quality of life. It is pure quality of business and work to work with people that you enjoy working with and seeing on a daily basis. And to be able to have a hand in that is very powerful. So I would say that is a huge pro of growing a business and scaling a business is building such a successful team of people that you work with every single day. And it's something I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to do. Okay, that was my 3 cons and 3 pros to opening a business. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any other specific things I can mention. I'm sure there's a lot more I can dive into. So if you guys want to know more, let me know.